What's up, guys? It's Maximilian94 here with a look back at WrestleMania 33 last night. I'm looking back real quick. I will admit, I didn't see everything on the pre-show. I didn't realize, I forgot what time it started, so I didn't see Austin versus Neville. I strictly watched WrestleMania to see what I wanted to see, but I watched the main card had like one match from the pre-show because that's what I caught up to. I just wanted to see the show live as it was. Anything else I might just watch later on, but I hear Austin Aries versus Neville was great. The Battle Royale, Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale it was abysmal. That Mojo Riley winning, great, but I can't help but wonder what is the point of this match that they set up these past 3 years or so. I don't know if it's strictly just to remember Andre, but it should have some significance other than just winning a trophy that looks like Andre. So, because for that, you might as well just buy statues of him. I don't see the significance of winning it. Honestly, at this point, unfortunately. Because the whole thing was just a bunch of jobbers in it. Like, a lot of guys who we don't see on SmackDown a lot. And then a lot of people who I couldn't even pinpoint, really. And it's my fault, because I haven't followed NXT for a while. I know things here and there, but I don't know everybody. I saw most of TakeOver. And I thought that was good. So I only know people from things here and there. I watch who I want to see. Whatever you guys decide to say in the comments is up to you. But I'm giving based on what I saw. And honestly, for me, I felt the show WrestleMania was generally good. It was just the matches were too rushed, I felt. Great show, but short matches, and then the one that was horrible was honestly Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. I did, however, as weird and ridiculous as it was, I liked the whole bugs and worms showing up on the wrestling mat, because let's think about it. Let's face it. Wouldn't you be really freaked out by seeing something like that? You're wrestling, you look down, and you see nothing but what looks like maggots and bugs and crickets, and you're like, I would freak out. I'm there watching what the flip is this? And I was loving that because it shows that Bray still has his weirdness. And, it's WrestleMania. They got to do something outrageous. So, I was liking it. I just don't like the freaking ending. I will admit, they didn't do too much now that I think about it. It was really just maybe clotheslines and attempted finishers. Some finishers happened. Everything's about the finisher now. No one's really trying to just wrestle, I noticed. I know Randy's thing is RKO out of nowhere, and it still lives up to it. It's just, come on, if that's all he's trying to do if that's all they're trying to do to each other, which is finishers, then I don't know what to think of it as a match as in a whole. So overall, not the greatest, but I did like the whole worm and bug thing appearing on the wrestling ring. However, on to a few things. Back on the pre-show, however, I'm going to make a connection here. I want to know what you guys think. Honestly, really try to give me an answer to this. Don't you guys think if Dean Ambrose and Randy Orton switched roles storyline-wise from the beginning, don't you think that would have made a lot more sense? Doesn't it make more sense for Randy to face Baron Corbin as kind of maybe a passing of the torch? Maybe what happens, it could still happen, but based on how the story's been built up, I was thinking it would have made more sense if they switched roles. It's interesting in a sense because Dean is crazy and Baron's destructive, but at the same time, it's just I felt Randy and Baron would have been a little more interesting. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel that would have made more sense because if Dean was constructed better as a loose cannon that can have an agenda here and there, then he would fit perfectly with the Wyatts because he's crazy, he's out there, he doesn't care, he's a little calculated. And if they did that with Dean instead of Randy, that whole storyline would have made a hell of a lot more sense. And it would have played out a little more better. Or better yet, Luke Harper. Why wasn't Luke Harper in the match? Why just Randy? Like, I knew it was weird from the moment Randy won the Royal Rumble. So I don't know. I was after them deciding whether Randy was gonna still main event or not, even though that match turned out to not be the main event. But this time for good reason. So I'm not gonna kill them over that. Because we all know how the night ended. It is the end of an era. So, it's just I thought that would have made more sense. And then add Luke Harper in the mix, or just Dean could have interfered, or Randy could have interfered, like distracted Bray Wyatt or something, or Luke Harper distract him. But it would have been better for Luke Harper to do all that. It would have been much more darker, because believe it or not, when you think about it, I know I'm a little off topic, but think about it. Having people in our own families, there's always going to be one or two people that are just a little like not so there. Like, everyone has different dramas in their families, right? So imagine the message this would have sent. As outrageous as it is, maybe it would have been a little more relatable, because not everyone's family, no one's perfect. No one's family's perfect. So imagine brother destroying his own sister's grave, like, simply because Bray's more obsessed with her than the guys. Think about it. It would have made a lot more sense for Luke to do all that. Because it would have been unexpected. Randy's known to do things here and there based on his career. And honestly, his place in the family didn't fit at all. It was fun for what it was, but at the same time, like, it wasn't as intense because Randy's so like, I'm a loner, I don't care about anything. That doesn't fit, man. Miscast. So miscasting. Looking at this from a strictly casting perspective, totally miscast. Should have been Dean Ambrose or Luke Harper. Or just have one interfere in the other. Not in the other, but like have Luke or Dean interfere in the title match. As far as the women's matches went, first let's deal with Bayley. I know I'm going all over the card here, but bear with me. Bayley, Nia Jax, Charlotte, Sasha. It was fun, but something didn't quite feel right. Am I the only one that thought Nia got kicked out a little too soon? Because I felt like, if she's supposed to be this dominant heel, why is she getting destroyed so easily? Like, yeah, she was destroying the girls from the bell. And I'm here thinking, oh, dear heaven. Like, I was thinking about her and Asuka, because Asuka is, based on TakeOver, Asuka's officially the female Brock Lesnar. I'm sorry, hands down. After Saturday night, she is. And Nia Jax, if they were to keep her like undefeated, at the very least, based on what they're trying to do with her, assuming what they're trying to do is make her a monster, it would be like Raw has Nia Jax, SmackDown gets Asuka, and no one can complain, because now people are gonna. I have friends saying Asuka should go to Raw because Raw's suffering. Trust me, if Asuka goes there, she's doomed. I'm telling you right now, SmackDown will handle her a little bit better, at least. That whole match, it felt weird because it felt rushed. Certain people got out so quickly. It was like, why can't these matches last a bit longer? These matches weren't even long for what they're supposed to be worth. And the people that got kicked out easily, it was very surprising. Of course, because I met fans at Monday Night Raw in Brooklyn, and one of them was saying that like Nia Jax would win, I was hoping for the same. I was actually hoping for the same thing, but of course, that was not the case here. In terms of who should win, who should not, whatever, Bayley wins. I was surprised though, just because I wasn't expecting her to keep the belt. Because a lot of fans tend to say things and they turn out to be true most of the time. This was one of the very few times I was surprised. So I'm like, okay, Bayley gets to keep the belt. I love Bayley, so I'm thinking, you know what? If she becomes the female John Cena, let's see. It might just make the title mean something. If she gets to keep it longer than everyone else so far, then it'll mean something when someone actually takes it off of her. Because that's what it needs. This hot potato thing is just so freaking annoying. Bayley winning it, she should have won it tonight, honestly. The way that storyline has been built was just ridiculous. Now, on to Jericho and Owens. Good match. Actually, pretty good match. But, like, I don't know. Something about it, I think it was just, for me, every match was good. It's just they were missing certain, like, oomphes in them. Some of them. Like, this match, I gotta say, the whole storyline was a little, like, something doesn't feel realistic about it. They were hanging out together for, like, months. And yeah, some people we could become best friends with someone, but in this sense, like, it felt like the only reason people were bummed out, and maybe they were behind it, was because the storyline itself of them as best friends ended. As far as, like, because when you think about it, watching the match, I was just there like, they don't come off to me as people that should be fighting. It looks just like two angry guys just fighting for vengeance over nothing. Nothing of complete significance. Like, you know, Owens' promos lately about, like, I was never his best friend makes a lot of sense. And it's just like, I get it, because it's like he's been played. Jericho's been played. But something about it just kind of felt like it wasn't long enough. It wasn't long enough, that friendship. If they did this for, like, maybe a year at least, or two, then, like, you know, Shield's lifespan, then maybe that would make sense. When Dean was attacking Seth when they broke up, that made a lot of sense because they were brothers for years since they got in there. So when they broke up and Seth was the one betraying them, that made sense. We wanted him to get revenge. Here, I wanted a little revenge, but not, like, after watching the match, I'm just like, it didn't feel so great. It sounded better as an idea, but I think if some things last longer, then do it. Do this whole revenge thing, betrayal thing. Because, you know, Sami Zayn and him, that's different. Everyone followed Kevin Owens and Zayn for years, so that makes more sense. These two, not so much. Owens picks up the win, wins the U.S. title. Now I'm wondering what's going to happen with Jericho. Is he going to leave? Because he's been there. He was there for a while, not for nothing. So this is as long as he's been there for a while without coming and going. So let's see. And surprisingly, for me personally, the match that really kind of stole it was actually Shane versus AJ Styles. I say that because, let's face, like, did any of you guys really expect the match to be great? Did you, like, because everyone was like, I think a lot of people were outraged at the fact that AJ was in a match with Shane of all people. And I don't blame them. But, because even I was there, I was just like, I'm not so sure, because I've seen Shane fight like once before. And that match alone kind of told me, okay, he's not a threat really to anybody. Here, he's not the big threat, but he made himself credible. Like, they actually wrestled. It was the actual, like, strictly wrestling wise, this was actually the real wrestling match. Like, they were doing a lot of takedowns, headlocks, this and that, submissions, jabs here and there, where it still reminds you it's still professional wrestling, but like mat wrestling. I like it when they incorporate what feels like amateur wrestling or mat wrestling into this pro wrestling world, because it kind of brings more realism, that it reminds people this is still a sport. And they did that. Shane still had his old moments because AJ was trying to copy off of it with the whole across the ring, hitting him with a trash can move, and he nails it. Like, AJ really does know how to adapt to different styles. Like, he definitely, hands down, is their better guys. I'm sure, aside from Austin Aries and Neville, because they are great. I'm going to watch that match, and if you guys want me to give an opinion on it, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just move on to Monday Night Raw and so forth. And, yeah, move on with that. Because I only watch what I really wanted to see, but I'll watch things for the sake of reviewing and letting you guys know what I think, if you guys really want to hear my opinions after this. So just keep that in mind. As far as now Seth and Triple H, I'm going to say this. I'm tired of Triple H fighting, honestly. Just because he is it's just too repeated. This whole authority thing is annoying. I've been seeing this for years now. Since Daniel Bryan and everything, it's just annoying. The fact that there's no end to this, because what good is anyone beating them if they don't go away? Like, please, Lord in heaven, let this be the end of that storyline, because this is annoying. I like Triple H because of NXT, but it's just seeing the same thing again. Like, we can all agree, this is annoying. Because that match actually wasn't really so great. It was solid, but it wasn't great. It wasn't so exciting, honestly. Surprisingly. I guess I expected more. I guess it just felt a little slow. Like, AJ and Shane, they were fast-paced match. Triple H and Seth were good pace, but it was just... Maybe it's just the whole Triple H fighting every freaking year at WrestleMania. Someone always having to face him is just annoying to me. So, you know, Seth wins, and that's great. I'm just hoping this becomes the end of the whole authority thing, at least. If there's a stable, from what I'm hearing, if there really is going to be a stable, let it just be the stable and not Triple H talking for hours, and Stephanie, because Stephanie really is on my nerves as a character. So, you know, just enough of the same nonsense. But of course we're going to watch anyway. So, anyway. You know, Dean Ambrose, he kept his belt. I know I'm going backwards a little bit, but he kept his belt. I was surprised because I really thought Baron Corbin needed to win, because he has been losing after Cena beat him on SmackDown for no reason. And you know, he would have this undefeated streak, so I don't know what they're gonna do with him. Maybe he'll get it later on, but whatever. In terms of what's his face? Let's see, the tag team championships, Raw tag team championships. The big, oh my gosh, OMG moment of the night. Aside from the bitter end of the evening. Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy, the broken Matt Hardy. The Hardy brothers are back. And they get inserted into the match by New Day. I actually thought New Day was going to insert themselves, because I thought, finally, they fight, because all they do is talk now. I love New Day, but it's like, ever since they lost the belt, I'm just like, y'all need to think of long-term ideas when you're doing this stuff. Because if they're, I mean, they wrestle for, they're wrestling a bunch of jobbers now. It's no fun when they do wrestle. Now they just promote a bunch of ice creams for I don't know what reason. Come up with something better at least. And in terms of that match, it was great, freaking great. Me personally, some of you, a lot of you guys are probably not going to agree with it. But let me ask you this: don't you guys think Enzo and Cass were gonna win tonight, last night? Don't you think maybe they should have won if the Hardys didn't show up? Because even with the Hardys there, I kind of felt like I'm glad that they came back, It's just, I felt like they kind of stole the thunder of the guys that were already there. Because the Raw tag division isn't so bad. Everyone's good. It's just maybe sometimes their moments on screen isn't always great. And I really felt Enzo and Cass should have won that, because watching them come down the ramp and the fact that it was a ladder match, it kind of reminded me of Edge and Christian. And the idea of that, like, they were silly, but they were a serious threat when wrestling. And I felt like with Enzo and Cass, I felt like this win would have helped them, because then they would have a reason to be aggressive in the ring. Cass is aggressive, but Enzo always looks like a joke, and that's not fair. I really don't like that. Enzo and Cass are actually very good. In NXT, they were very good. They never won a title. I don't know why they didn't win it last night. I'm guessing because the Hardys came back. Like, I just felt like the Hardys shouldn't have won. You guys are all going to probably think differently, but I felt like they shouldn't have won. I felt like Enzo and Cass, they needed that win last night. The WrestleMania moment. I felt like that would have shot them a little more, because they're popular. Every freaking week they come out, everyone bugs out and repeats what Enzo says. I was at Raw myself. I know it's New York, but still, every night they were going crazy. They were the highlight of Monday Night Raw that time in Brooklyn, and they're always the highlight pretty much of the night as far as like on the promos. If they let them wrestle like they did in NXT, it would have helped. Enzo's always looking like a joke. Look at the Royal Rumble in January. He comes out, does his dance, and gets thrown out by Lesnar. I mean, that was funny. I'm not going to lie. But, come on, man. Anyway, that match was great overall. I just felt that match was great. Brilliant, great freaking ladder match. Sheamus and Cesaro are very good together. I'm loving it. I love that they get along, and I love that Sheamus can be liked again, despite the fact that his hairdo still looks stupid. And I love that everyone had a good moment in the match. It's just, I just felt like it belonged to Enzo and Cass, honestly, not for nothing. But it was a good shock. It was a good shock that the Hardys won and that they came back. So that's great, because I'm looking forward to this. Just so you guys know, I didn't watch wrestling when the Hardys were around. I watched it later on, in 2012, so I know of them. I've seen one of their matches. Edge, Christian, the Hardys, Dudley Boys, ladder match for the tag titles. I've seen that match. Very good. They live up to their freaking standards. But I just felt like it should have been Enzo and Cass, because now it's, I felt like they should have won in that. I really felt like they did. They're the most popular, aside from the Hardys now. And in terms of Brock Lesnar and Goldberg, it was actually fun. It was actually fun because I know they're part-timers, but Brock never actually beat Goldberg until last night. And it was great. It was literally under 5 minutes, but it was still fun because everyone was like back and forth, even though it was just nothing but spears and signature moves. But still, like, it was like just perfect because it's them. We know these two. We know they don't like to last long, or that they shouldn't, because Lesnar would just be German suplex everybody. That's the other thing. But great match. Great match. And now we move on to, Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. A great match for those two. It was actually fun. I was actually engaged bell to bell, because I actually was kind of curious about. I've been curious about that match. So let's see. But anyway, on to the rest of the night. Of course, we had the concert. I actually liked the theme song for WrestleMania, and it was actually fun. The SmackDown Women's Championship match, which you could tell was cut down, because they were just like, I was kind of getting worried. I was like, are they actually going to have a match, or are they going to get cut out? Because that would be very disappointing. And thank God they got to happen, even though it was short. Like, oh gosh, I'm talking literally 5 minutes of just 1,000 miles an hour of everyone doing spots. what's his name? Ellsworth trying to super kick Becky Lynch. I actually thought he was gonna do it. I was like, wow, they're actually gonna let a dude super kick a woman? That would be fun. That would be interesting to see. Just because they don't do that in wrestling anymore. Like, you know, I'm not condoning hitting women in the face. It's just in the world of wrestling because they never do it anymore. I was just like, are they actually gonna do it? But anyway, but of course they didn't do that. And I'm forgetting the one match I was actually enjoying the build up for. Nikki and John. But before I get to them, even though they were before this match, the SmackDown Championship match was. Here's my thing. All the matches were good. It was just shorts. It was getting good. It had potential. It was just getting short. It was just shorts. Too shorts, man. Too short. But it was great. Naomi wins in her hometown Orlando. And I'm loving it, man. I love it. I love it. The whole glow thing is fun. And I'm just hoping she is built to be serious, because I was starting to take her seriously when she won it the first time. When she just kicked, I think it was Alexa Bliss in the face during the contract signing. So, like, across the table, she just kicked her. I was like, oh my gosh. So. And for Naomi to be the one to make me say that says a lot. She's very good. Very well deserved. I just hope she can keep it for a long time and give it some length. And they make good storyline out of it. Because I don't want her to lose it so easily again. And we go backwards to John Cena and Nikki versus Maurice and Miz. I was enjoying it just because how much of a fan base the Miz was getting. He has a fan base now because he's been talking so badly about John, like, in such a fashion. It's so ridiculous. I couldn't get over that. And he just spends most of the time gloating, like, and soaking in this reception from the crowd. Meanwhile, he's got John on all fours, practically limp or just dazed. And I'm just like, dude, stay on him. And then, of course, Maurice doesn't fight. I was actually thinking Maurice was going to fight because I've never seen a wrestler. I was like, oh, this would be interesting. But no, I thought they were going to surprise me. Of course, they don't. Miz and Maurice lose in such a weird way. Well, not a weird way, but just the way that they've been... John and Nikki have been demonstrating the finishers the past few weeks on television. They both do their finishers on each of them. Nikki and Maurice were the legal ones. So, what I liked was that Miz wasn't really legitimately pinned by Cena. So he's a little protected in that sense. And honestly, kudos to Maurice and Miz. I really thought they should have won, but then based on what happens afterwards, John Cena proposes to Nikki Bella. Freaking great. I was loving that. It just felt a little scripted, even though he was speaking in legitimate words, but it's just something about it. I don't know, maybe Miz got to me. Maybe I believe too much about what Miz says, but at the same time, it's just like, you don't know anymore. Like, I got friends saying John's not a people person. I got some people saying, no, he's great. So I don't know. I'm a little torn. I guess because based on what Miz and Maurice have been doing, I felt like they deserved the win. They should have won. Now, this is the main event of WrestleMania 33. Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker. I was surprised it was the main event, but now I know why. The ending was very heartbreaking, just because apparently the few times they mentioned it on television turned out to be true. They always been talking about him, Roman saying, I'm going to retire The Undertaker, and it turns out to be true. So it was either Undertaker beats Roman and pleases everybody, or Roman beats Undertaker and gets hated legitimately at this point for life. Just because. Especially when he's the guy who retires The Undertaker. But what the good thing was that at least he's not a part-timer. He's a young guy. He's just not someone everyone loves right now, which rightfully so, just because he should be heel. and I think he already is right now, because based on what he's been saying, it sounds like he already is, and they're going towards that direction with him. Because based on how he was beating him up too, I've seen that kind of beat up before with Alberto Del Rio and Dolph Ziggler, like how they flipped the script when Alberto got the belt back from Dolph that time, when after Dolph cashed in after WrestleMania 29. I've seen that kind of beating before, in the sense where it's like relentless, and the person who's beating the other one up is getting booed, even though they're supposed to be a face. I've seen that, so it looks like they're going in that direction with making Roman heel, because at this point, there's no way he's going to be liked after retiring The Undertaker. You mean you don't retire the greatest guy in the freaking wrestling business, arguably the greatest wrestler in the wrestling business, and be a babyface. Because honestly, I think anyone who retires The Undertaker, I think would have been hated regardless. Maybe if it was Bray Wyatt, that would have been a different result, because at least Bray Wyatt are likable. Roman, he's not liked. I don't think he ever will be for a while, especially now. Maybe he will, but I don't think so. Unless he stays heel and fine, but I say let the heel run dry out. Like, run in until it's completely dried out. So that way, when he does turn face, it might actually matter. But anyway, that's my take on WrestleMania. Very great show. Well, not very great. Pretty good show. Just rushed matches, I felt. A little too short. And it's clearly based on the fact that they packed so many in the main card. And I'm just going to say this, because a lot of people were like, we were all getting mad that the SmackDown Championship was going to be moved to the pre-show. I'm glad it was on the main card. Some matches, I think, need to stay on the pre-show, just because you can't pack everything between 8 o'clock and midnight, I would say. Because look what happened. Some matches get rushed, and the whole card looked like, okay, you're not going to get any more than 20 minutes. And literally almost every match was like 20 minutes. The only long match was Shane versus AJ. And that was it. So, that's all I got to say right now. So let me know what you guys think. What do you think of my outlook? What do you guys think were the better matches? Do you agree with my points? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Comment section. Forgive me. Just let me know how it goes, and I'll get back to you guys soon enough. Thank you, and let's enjoy the Raw after Mania.